Well, hello. I want to start this episode with a question. Do you know why you don't set healthy boundaries in your life, or tell the truth about the way that you feel, or say no when you want to say no? Do you actually know why? And I'm going to say many of you don't, because you've written into me asking me lots of questions, so I decided I would do an episode for you about this. I'm giving you the top 4 reasons that you don't set healthy boundaries in your life. If you're new to this channel and you don't know me, my name is Terri Cole. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, a relationship expert, and the founder of Real Love Revolution and Boundary Bootcamp. And I'm also the author of my very first book that is coming out on April 20th, 2021, called Boundary Boss, The Essential Guide to Talk True, Be Seen, and Finally Live Free. So welcome. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Also, before we get into the content itself, please make sure you are subscribed, right? You don't want to miss anything, do you? So hit that little bell. Anytime I do something new, something is new and available to you, you will get a little notification. So please subscribe and be a part of my crew, because I really appreciate it. And thank you for all of your comments, all of your interacting. I love you people. You are my people. You really are. Okay. Let's get into the content for today's show. So 4 top reasons you don't set healthy boundaries. The first thing is that it is a learned skill set. So I want you to think about it this way. Think about the art of setting healthy boundaries, because that's exactly what it is. Like learning a new language. And if you wanted to learn to speak, let's say Mandarin, you would probably not beat yourself up about not knowing how to speak Mandarin fluently if literally nobody ever taught you, right? You had no instruction, you don't have a book, you don't have a manual. Correct? Correct. So I actually wrote a book about this. Consider it the Rosetta Stone of boundaries. Becoming literate, fluent in the language of boundaries and the behavior of healthy boundaries, what that looks like, being able to recognize the interactions that are healthy and that are dysfunctional. So it's a learned skill set. That is the first reason you don't know how to do it, because nobody taught you. Lucky for you, I wrote a book about it and I'm teaching you. But there's a reality that I think that it's very easy for us to be mean to ourselves, put ourselves down, be like, I should know this, what's wrong with me? I'm too soft, or I'm too hard, or I'm whatever the thing is. And if someone had taught you, then I can understand any of that. But really no one did. At least, I don't know. I haven't met anyone yet in this journey of being a psychotherapist for almost 25 years where they were like, oh yes, my mother sat me down and talked to me, taught me the language of boundaries. No, they don't. So you wouldn't just know this information. You shouldn't just know this information. So don't make yourself wrong and get committed to learning. That is what you can do. Hold on. I need some coffee. Well, thank you for waiting. All right, moving on. Number 2, we got bad intel growing up. Literally, we got incorrect information, corrupted information, because what so many of us experienced was we were directly taught not to have healthy boundaries. As I like to say, that we were raised and praised to be self-abandoning codependents. Many of us, I certainly was, where we got positive feedback by being overgivers. We got positive feedback by not making, no muss, no fuss, by being easy. Oh, she's great. She's so easygoing, right? These were all qualities that were aspirational, but they're the opposite in some ways of knowing how to communicate, express, create, enforce healthy boundaries, which is what we want to do. If you were raised as a woman, we really were raised and socialized to be the bridgers in society. We were the caregivers, the assuagers, the connectors. Like how many families and family systems was the mother the center of the family system, the maternal impactor, as I say, because it could have been a grandmother, a foster mom, an aunt, but usually it was a woman who was doing all of the emotional labor, keeping it all going, right? The boat, the ship of our life, really being kept afloat by all of this invisible stuff that somebody's got to do it, right? The toilet paper does not replace itself. The kids' dental appointments or the school things that have to happen, they don't just happen. You are doing them. Remembering birthdays, getting in touch with family. A lot of times, in more, I would say, normative sort of the gender, more traditional gender roles, the woman is not only keeping in touch with her family and doing all of that, a lot of times they're keeping in touch with the spouse's family as well and making those plans too. So, overworking, overgiving, and really learning that that is our job. This is what makes you, quote unquote, a good parent, a good partner, a good worker. And yet the reality is, having bad boundaries really gets in the way of authentically being good at all of those things. Because what do you think happens eventually if we continue down that path? I mean, do you need to guess? Do you know? Well, as I like to say, it's a one-way ticket to bitter land. That train only has one stop. Because eventually, you just get sick of it. You can do it. That is a young person's game. You can only do it for so long before it impacts you in this negative way. So it's almost like we were taught the opposite. And we were taught that it wasn't good. If you were not that self-sacrificing, if you asserted yourself, you were difficult, right? And don't worry, I'm going to get to the next reason that you don't create healthy boundaries in your life is all of the powerful myths that we learned about boundaries, even if someone wasn't using the word boundaries. Think about all of if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And so many of these things are directed specifically at little girls and women. That if you have something to say, you're a complainer, you're a drama queen, you're a bitch. And if your male colleague does that, they're a leader, they're assertive, they know what they want. I mean, this double standard, like I'm not making it be that it still exists. Hello, it still exists. It's out there. And these myths are things that we learned so long ago that you may not even realize how much it impacts how you feel about creating healthy boundaries. And what is creating healthy boundaries? That means communicating your preferences, your desires, your deal breakers, making those things a priority within yourself, and then clearly expressing them in your relationships. That's really what a boundary is. Brene Brown says having good boundaries means letting the people in your life know what's okay with you and what's not okay with you. But so many of us have been conditioned to believe that to be good women, everything should be okay. We should be easy breezy. We should not be difficult. We should not be demanding. And I think that it's just time that we have to blow up these myths. Like, they're so outdated, antiquated, and they're so counterproductive for what the world needs right now and what we need personally. To be self-expressed, to be self-determined. You know who doesn't tell me what my value is? Anyone else. Not the patriarchy, not society, not my husband. You know who decides what my value is? Me. And that's exactly the same for you. But we have to question these myths. We have to question this misinformation. We have to decide that we're willing to do the work to learn how to become a boundary boss, according to Terri. No one's going to do it for you. And we can all day long bitch about how unfair it is and how wrong it is and how, patriarchy, la, la, la. Yeah, those things are true. But you want to start a revolution? Start a revolution within yourself. If you cannot assert yourself in your life, your relationships, how are we going to flip the power structure? How does anything change? It all changes with you. Nothing changes until you do. And learning these skills is an opportunity for you to change what's not working in your life. So, to recap, these are not things you should just know, because like a language, if nobody taught you, you wouldn't friggin' know it. And mostly, for all of us, nobody taught us. So, moving on. What we did learn was the opposite of what having healthy, vibrant boundaries would be. We learned to abandon ourselves. That is what many of us learned. Moving on to number 3, we're going to blow up these myths. We're changing the game. And the only way to do that is to change it within ourselves and our personal relationships. That is how it changed. And then our professional relationships, right? And then it goes out from there. But you've got to understand this unconscious material that is driving your boundary behaviors right now. And of course, I have a process and a way to do that. But that is what has to happen. Because it's not about what I think about your boundaries. It's about what you think and how you learned them and from who and what will it mean to you personally to unlearn that, to do something different. And there's a lot of psychological stuff that goes along with all of that. Number 4, the fourth reason why you are not setting healthy boundaries in your life is fear of rejection. We all have this primal fear, right? This is a human fear. Think about it. We're hardwired to want to be in the crew, in the tribe, in the pack, let's say. From a primal standpoint, this makes sense. If you get separated from the pack, back in the day, it would mean death, probably. So there is a hardwired aspect of this fear of rejection. And that if I don't do what this person wants me to do or what they think I should be doing, I'm going to be rejected. Unconsciously, if you then think that means you're going to die, well, understand that would be hard to get over. So we have to reveal what it actually means to you. You don't want to be ostracized. So many of us suffer from codependency. And what is that? That is this desire to control the feeling states, the outcomes, the decisions of the people in our lives. Codependency is a game of control. It is a bid for control, overtly and covertly. And you may not even know it. But if you really think about it, that is what it is. We don't want that person to make that mistake. We have a better idea. We're going to make suggestions. We're going to keep making suggestions, even though they didn't ask us to make suggestions, and they're not taking our friggin' suggestions, but we still seem to keep doing it. Because their out of control life or them making a mistake is so stress-inducing for the codependent that you'd rather fight with them than actually step back and allow them to live their own life and be self-determined, which in the end is all any of us can ever be. So codependency is really a big part of why women in particular have such a challenge in creating healthy boundaries in their lives and in our relationships. So there you go. You're not alone. If you're nodding your head, if you're like, wow, that's me. Hi, welcome to being a woman, being raised this way, learning this, learning that it was good to be this way. And now we've got some unlearning to do. But hey, it's super possible. So that is the good news. Let's really think about, how would others describe you? Would they describe you as someone who is unreachable, someone who's disconnected, someone who's aloof? Well, that is one particular boundary style. Would they describe you as someone who is easygoing, too easygoing, right? Everything is okay with that person all the time? Oh, that's another boundary style. Are you someone who says yes when you want to say no? Is it very difficult for you to assert yourself in your relationships? Well, that's a different boundary style. So to come up with your own boundary baseline, I created a quiz. All you have to do is it's a free quiz, boundaryquiz.com. And that is your first step. Take the quiz and let me know what your boundary style is. And you may have more than one, right? You'll probably have a predominant style and a secondary style. Share it with me on social media, at Terri Cole on Instagram. Put it in your story. I'll share it in my story. And let's get this whole conversation going. Let's raise our collective awareness on the fact that each and every one of us actually can become a boundary boss. And when you do, the quality of your entire life, your internal experience and your external experience will be better, will be happier, will be more satisfying. Because when you are a boundary disaster, there is nothing more frustrating than feeling like nobody knows you. Because when you really come on down to it, that is what it is. When you say yes when you want to say no, or when you withdraw from people, or when you talk indirectly, like you passive-aggressively express your anger, all boundary issues, by the way, people do not know you. And that's the biggest tragedy, is that how can anyone authentically love you if you never allow them to authentically know you? And if you're a boundary disaster, trust me, they do not authentically know you. But this is not terminal. This is not a fatal condition. If you are willing, you can learn. Because I am willing to teach you without a doubt. So, nothing changes till you do. Go to boundaryquiz.com. Check it out. Let me know what you discover. Thank you for spending time with me here today. I so appreciate you. And I hope you have the most amazing week. And as always, take care of you.